Imagine this. It's 6:43 in the morning. Your phone starts vibrating. Once. Twice. Then again. You reach over, still half asleep, expecting another useless notification. Instead, you see this. Missile strikes reported. A second notification appears. Military forces placed on highest alert. Then another. Emergency government meeting underway. Within seconds, your screen is flooded. News apps. Breaking alerts. Messages from friends. Videos you can't verify. Some people are saying it's fake. Others are saying this is the beginning of World War III. For a few minutes, nobody actually knows what's happening. But then something changes. Airlines begin cancelling flights. Stock markets stop trading before most people have even finished breakfast. Military aircraft begin taking off across multiple countries. Television channels interrupt their normal programming. Instead of commercials, there's a red banner across the screen. Breaking news. That's the moment people stop asking, "Is this real?" and start asking, "What's coming next?" Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the world can change much faster than anyone expects. The scary part is that World War III probably wouldn't begin the way Hollywood has taught us. Most people imagine one massive explosion. A mushroom cloud. Missiles crossing the sky. Cities disappearing overnight. But that's probably not how it would happen. Modern wars don't begin with explosions. They begin with confusion. Before the first tank crosses a border, before the first soldier fires a shot, entire countries could already be under attack. Just not the kind of attack you can see. The first battlefield wouldn't be a city. It would be the internet. Government websites could suddenly disappear. Banking systems could stop responding. Power companies would begin checking for cyberattacks. Military satellites would immediately focus on strategic locations across the globe. Because during the opening hours of any major conflict, information becomes just as valuable as bullets, maybe even more valuable. And that's exactly where another battle begins. Your phone. Within minutes, social media becomes complete chaos. Thousands of videos appear. Smoke rising above cities. Military convoys moving through the night. People screaming. Explosions. Some of those videos are real. Some happened years ago. Some were created by artificial intelligence only minutes earlier. The problem isn't fake news. The problem is that nobody can tell the difference anymore. Even governments struggle to verify information during a rapidly developing crisis. Now imagine being the person responsible for making decisions that could affect millions of lives. Would you trust the first report? The second one? Or would you wait? Knowing that waiting too long could cost thousands of lives? That's the impossible situation military commanders could face within the first hour. Radar stations begin tracking every aircraft. Fighter pilots receive emergency orders. Naval fleets prepare to leave their ports. Air defense crews move into combat positions. None of this automatically means a world war has started. It means something even more dangerous. Nobody wants to be caught unprepared. And that's exactly how fear begins to spread. Not through explosions. Through uncertainty. Because uncertainty makes people imagine the worst. And once millions of people begin imagining the worst, the world can change faster than anyone realizes. 1 hour has passed. The world still doesn't know exactly what's happening. And that's the most dangerous part. Wars rarely begin with perfect information. They begin with confusion. Inside military command centers, giant screens light up with live satellite feeds. Every radar station is watching the skies. Every intelligence agency is trying to answer the same question. Who fired first? Because in a global crisis, the first answer is often the wrong one. Imagine being an air traffic controller. 30 minutes ago, your job was routine. Now military aircraft are crossing your radar every few seconds. Commercial flights are being diverted. Entire sections of airspace are suddenly closed. Pilots are receiving new instructions in real time. Passengers have no idea why their flight just turned around. They simply look out the window and wonder what's happening. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, another race has already begun. Not a race between armies. A race between governments. Every world leader wants the same thing. Information. Reliable information. Because making the wrong decision during the first hour of a crisis could change history. Should they respond immediately? Should they wait? Should they contact other governments? Or prepare for something even worse? Behind closed doors, emergency meetings begin. Military generals, intelligence chiefs, national security advisors. Everyone is looking at the same maps, the same satellite images, the same reports, but nobody sees the full picture. And that's terrifying, because uncertainty creates fear. Fear creates pressure, and pressure creates mistakes. History has shown this many times. The biggest disasters don't always happen because someone wanted a war. Sometimes they happen because someone misunderstood what they were seeing. While governments search for answers, the financial world reacts instantly. Stock exchanges open in panic. Red numbers begin filling trading screens. Investors don't wait for confirmation. They react to uncertainty. Billions of dollars disappear in minutes. Oil prices surge. Gold climbs higher. Companies begin calculating worst-case scenarios before anyone even knows if the conflict will continue. Then another problem appears. Supply chains. Modern civilization depends on goods moving every single day. Food. Medicine. Electronics. Fuel. Millions of containers travel across oceans every week. But now shipping companies begin changing their routes. Cargo planes avoid dangerous airspace. Insurance costs suddenly explode. Factories waiting for critical parts receive one simple message. Delayed. It sounds like a small problem, until thousands of factories receive exactly the same message. That's when the economic impact starts spreading far beyond the battlefield. Because in today's world, you don't have to be at war to feel the consequences of one. This is also the moment when ordinary people begin reacting. Some rush to supermarkets. Others head straight to gas stations. Long lines begin forming outside ATMs. Parents start calling their children. Families cancel vacations. People who never cared about world politics suddenly become obsessed with the news. Every notification matters. Every rumor spreads. Every headline feels bigger than the last. And as millions of people desperately search for certainty. The truth becomes harder to find than ever before. Because during the first hour of a global crisis. Information isn't just power. It's survival. By now. The first few hours are over. The initial shock has faded. But something even more dangerous has taken its place. Silence. Not the silence of peace. The silence of uncertainty. Around the world, millions of people are glued to their screens. Every television channel is broadcasting special coverage. News anchors stop talking about politics. Sports disappear. Entertainment disappears. Everything becomes about one question. What's happening now? Inside government buildings, the pressure keeps growing. Every new report could change everything. A single radar contact, a satellite image. An intercepted military message. Each one has the potential to completely rewrite the situation. Because in moments like these, decisions are made with incomplete information. And history has proven that's when mistakes are most likely to happen. Military commanders know something the public often forgets. Not every radar signal is real. Not every explosion means an attack. Not every warning is accurate. But when the stakes are this high, ignoring a real threat could be catastrophic. Responding to a false one could be just as dangerous. That's the impossible balance every leader would face. At the same time, military activity would continue increasing. Reconnaissance aircraft would stay in the air for hours. Surveillance satellites would pass over the same locations again and again. Warships would move closer to strategic positions. Air defense crews would remain on full alert. For thousands of soldiers, this wouldn't feel like a headline anymore. It would feel real. Equipment checked. Engines running. Radios constantly active. Waiting. Sometimes waiting is the hardest part. Because nobody knows whether the next order will be routine. Or history changing. Meanwhile, the internet becomes almost impossible to trust. Every minute, thousands of new videos appear online. Some show smoke rising above cities. Others claim entire military bases have been destroyed. Anonymous accounts begin posting inside information. People share maps. Flight trackers. Satellite images. Some of it is genuine. Much of it isn't. Artificial intelligence makes the situation even worse. Fake speeches. Fake emergency broadcasts. Fake videos of world leaders. They're realistic enough to fool millions of people before anyone has time to verify them. For ordinary families watching from home. The truth becomes almost impossible to separate from fiction. And in a global crisis, confusion can spread faster than any missile ever could. As evening approaches, another fear begins spreading. Not because of something people see, because of something they don't. Single quotes T. Nuclear weapons. The moment those two words enter the conversation. Everything changes. Markets react. Governments react. The public reacts. People immediately imagine the worst. But here's something many people don't realize. Nuclear weapons are considered a last resort. Every major nuclear power understands exactly what's at stake. That's why even during the most dangerous moments of the Cold War, leaders on both sides searched desperately for ways to avoid crossing that line. Because once it's crossed, there may be no way back. And that's exactly why every diplomatic phone call, every emergency meeting. And every public statement. Could matter more than ever before. As the sun begins to set, one full day is almost over. Nobody feels relieved. Because the biggest question still hasn't been answered. Was this the beginning of a larger war? Or had the world just survived the most dangerous day in decades? No one knows. Not yet. And sometimes the waiting is more frightening than the answer itself. By the end of the first 24 hours, the world would almost certainly look different. Not because cities had disappeared, not because every country had joined the fighting, but because something far more fragile had been lost. Certainty. For decades, billions of people have lived with the assumption that tomorrow will probably look like today. That assumption disappears surprisingly fast. Schools may still open. People may still go to work. Children may still play outside. From a distance, life might even look normal. But underneath the surface, everything has changed. Every government is watching. Every military is waiting. Every financial market is reacting. And every family is asking the same question. What happens tomorrow? Because the first day of a global crisis doesn't give you answers. It gives you uncertainty. And uncertainty has a way of changing human behavior. Some people stop traveling. Others cancel investments. Companies delay important decisions. Families make emergency plans they never imagined they would need, not because they know what's coming, because they don't. Inside government buildings, the lights stay on long after midnight. Military officers continue monitoring radar screens. Intelligence analysts compare thousands of new reports. Diplomats keep making phone calls across different time zones. Nobody wants the next 24 hours to be worse than the first, because history has shown that the longer a crisis continues, the harder it becomes to control. Every hour creates new risks, new misunderstandings, opportunities for mistakes. And sometimes, one mistake is all it takes. If you've noticed something about this entire scenario, it's that we barely talked about battles. That's because modern conflict isn't only fought on the battlefield anymore. It's fought in computer networks, financial markets. Communication systems, satellite networks. Energy infrastructure. Even on the phones we carry in our pockets every single day. The first 24 hours of a global conflict wouldn't just be about weapons. They would be about information. Fear. Trust. And decisions made under impossible pressure. So could this really happen? The honest answer is, nobody knows. History has surprised humanity many times before. Events that once seemed impossible sometimes became reality. At the same time, many of the world's biggest crises were prevented because leaders chose diplomacy over escalation. That part of history rarely becomes a headline, but it matters just as much, maybe even more. Perhaps the biggest lesson isn't learning how World War III might begin. It's understanding how quickly the world can change. 1 morning. Everything feels normal. By evening, people everywhere are asking the same question: are we safe? And maybe that's the most frightening part of all. Not knowing exactly when history begins, because history rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with dramatic music. Or a countdown clock. Most of the time, people only realize they were living through a historic moment after it has already happened. Fortunately, everything you've seen in this video is a hypothetical scenario. No one can accurately predict how a future global conflict would unfold, and hopefully no one will ever have to. Because the greatest victory in any war is preventing it from happening in the first place. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe for more documentaries about geopolitics, military strategy, and the events shaping our world. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. And we'll see you in the next video.